Hi everyone, and thanks for being back. Thank you for all the feedback on the previous video. I decided to do the sequel first. It was a tie, but I decided to do this bow because I need to get this bow out to a customer. He was kind enough to let me do a review on this, and I've got plenty of consequences still left, and only one Sequel 33. So that's why I decided, let me do this on this bow, and then we can get to the consequence later. I've already had this bow set up for me this morning because it took quite a lot of time and I don't want to waste time with a video, so I decided to set it up. The first time you pull it out of the box, you'll notice the beautiful bow. It's really cut out nicely and the workmanship on this is top class, and I was really impressed when I took this bow out of the box. I'm going to go through a few things that has changed with Darton. They changed their cam system on the hunting bows. They went back to the yoke system with a 5-piece string set and a double yoke on both sides with this attachment over here. It's a really nice looking system, and they say that the E system took about 7 feet a second, from the efficiency. It's a very good system. They still use it on their target bows, but I heard that on their hunting bows they're going to go completely over to this system, and it's the same cam as on the Consequence. It is still the same limb pocket system. I think they are very happy with the limb pocket system. They didn't need to do any improvements there. But the other thing that's changed is the overall look of the bow. It's quite different from when we started doing Darton with the first ones that came out when the new owner took over. And the grip on this bow just overall is similar to the Prelude. It's a very comfortable grip, and yeah, I'm glad they went over to this system because they're kind of standardizing now on grips. It's the same as the Exodus, it's the same as the Prelude, the Departure, and also the Consequence are all the same. The old grips were a little bit more blocky, and some were thin, and some were a bit thicker. So this is a standardized grip, and I'm quite happy about that. The new cam system is called the BBS cam system. The main difference is your draw stop is now independent from your module. It's no longer one unit, and you also don't adjust your let off with the shoes, the different shoes that you put on anymore, the different thicknesses. Now you get two cable stops. The one is the smaller one, which is attached when you get your bow, and you get a bigger one that comes along with in the bow box. The bigger one changes it to 80%, and the smaller one that's on the bow as you get it is 87% let off. They still have the timing marks, and you have to get your cable in between those cable marks to get the optimum performance out of the bow. The other difference is your roller guard is no longer adjustable. That's fixed like on the Exodus and also the Consequence, and it's the right amount from the bow to give you enough clearance for all arrows. That's why they didn't make it adjustable. That's one less thing that can go wrong. I'm quite happy with it. I've never needed to adjust mine anyway. The other thing that's changed now is your cam spacing. They make it color-coded now, so you get two thin red ones and a wider black one. It makes it easier to keep track of when you're doing tuning on your bow, and that you can always go back to where you were, or it's just a visual record of where you are at with your tuning on your bow. So it just makes it a lot easier. It makes a lot of sense. This is still the old system, and it's a spacing system where you have to actually put it in a bow press. You have to pull the axle out, and then you have to change this up to move your cam left to right. And there are easier systems on the market, but for me, this is quite of a foolproof system, and I quite like it because you don't do it every day. Once you've done it, it stays in, whether you're hunting or you on the tournament line. This can't change unless you physically put it in the bow press and change it. That's what I like. There's nothing moving. There's no screws that come loose. And for me, it's a good system. Obviously, nothing is perfect, but for me at the moment, this is the best system without anything going wrong. So what are we going to do today? We're going to do a set format on our reviews, and we're going to keep it pretty standard. And we're going to start off with the draw length test that we're going to put in the physical draw board, and we're going to test how close we are to the draw length. We're going to check the axle to axle, how close it is to factory specs. We're going to check the brace height. We're physically going to weigh it. I need to unfortunately weigh the 31, and because it's I've already put accessories on this without weighing it before I did this. And we're going to do a torque test that I've developed, but it's a very simple test that I think we're going to do with all the bows, and it's going to give us a better idea of how forgiving the bow is and how easy it talks in your hand, which is a factor, these bows, with the geometry of bows. We're going to do a paper test then, and we're going to see how easy it is to tune. And then also we're going to do a speed test, how close it is to specs. And then we're going to have a range test on this bow, and we're going to see the overall accuracy, which is also going to be a set format. And we're going to be able to compare this bow to other bows that we test in the future. So let's get to it. Okay, we're going to start with the draw length check. I've marked it with a Sharpie on 28.25, which is AMO. We're going to check if this lines up with the burger button. Then you add 1.75 inches, and then we know we're exactly on spec. So let's see how close this bow is to spec actually. Let's see, and it is touching there. That is so close. It's like 1/16 probably out. So I'm going to call it good. And check the axle to axle. That is 33 solid. And the brace height is supposed to be 6.3. That is exactly 6.3. I've got the Sequel 31 here for the weight. As I said, I've attached accessories to the 33, so I can't weigh that, and I don't have another one. So I'm going to weigh this. The advertised weight is 4.45 pounds, and that's without the LVS system, which I already removed. So I'm just going to weigh it here and then give you feedback on what it is. .45 exactly. So we're going to test the draw weight of the bow now to see how close it is to spec before we do the speed test and the paper tune. Okay, so it's 70.4. I'm going to call that good. Okay, I've done the center shot and first shot through paper. Let's see what it does. Quite happy with that. That's pretty good. Okay, so this is the arrow we're going to test. We're going to weigh it now. Let's see what it weighs. 348.8, and I'm going to call that good. Let's go and see what it does. We're going to do a speed test now, an ATA speed test. That is our Darton test their bows. It's 30 inches draw. It's limited to 30 inches, 70 pounds, 350 grain arrow. And only difference, we have a peep sight installed, so that might affect the speed test, but let's see what we get. .336. That is pretty good. That's above the speed rating. Let's just do another one to make sure. But 335. .336. That is pretty impressive. Taking into account we got a peep sight installed and it's above its rating, so I'll call it about a 336 average. And yeah, I'm happy with that. That's pretty good. That's true speed. That's not that's as I tested it, and it's about what Darton gets, and also with the peep sight. So pretty happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to do the torque test now. It's not a very professional look, I must admit, but it gets the job done. All it is I put the bow in the draw board, and then I get it to full draw, and then I take the stabilizer on a certain point, I mark it with the moment with a hex key, Allen key going down, and then on a bow square so that I can see if I pull it to the side with a scale, how much resistance it gives you. And then the more resistance it gives you, the harder it is to torque. The easier it is, the less it's going to read on the scale. So I also don't have a bow to compare it with at the moment, but as we go along, we'll build it up. So let's see what the Sequal 33 reads on the scale with the torque test. Okay, here's the contraption I built. Just a makeshift plan for now. The bow is a full draw. I've got a scale attached here, and I've got a scale here that I'm going to pull it an inch on 8 inches on the stabilizer, and then I'm going to see what it reads on the scale. So I'm going to start pulling. So you can see that needle moving to an inch, and it gives me 1.6 pounds. I've tested it a few times, and that's what it reads. So we're going to call that good. And I think that's quite a lot of resistance for, torquing to the side. I think it doesn't feel like it torques easy in your hand either. Some bows are very hard to torque, and some bows are easy. And the easier it is, the worse it gets for accuracy. So I think it's not bad. So we're out here, we're going to test the bow now. We're going to shoot a certain format, which I will explain now. But before we go ahead, I just want to explain a few tips of this bow, a few features that you might need to know that I've learned through testing the bow now. And the modules, you need to get the screws as far as possible apart. The other thing that you need to know is that to get the optimum performance, your cable has to run in between the lines. They've got some timing marks on the cams, like on most bows, but this needs to be in between. I've also seen when you press the bow, they've asked you to back it out 4 turns. I do the same because the limb angles are quite a lot on these new bows. They're more than on the old bows. So I also back it out, and it lessens the limb angle, and it fits easy in the press. And just be careful that when you press it, it doesn't slip out. My overall feel of the Sequal 33, it's a brilliant bow. If you look at the machining, it's a beautiful piece of machinery. It's built like no other bow I've seen, and they do a lot of work on this bow. They also don't skimp on quality. If you look at this barrel that they put in here, it's not directly into the riser. I always look for that. That's very important for me. I don't like, just screwing the limb bolt right into the riser, especially if you turn it out in and a lot when you put it in a press and in and out. The limb pockets are always a good thing on the Dartons. In terms of the overall feel of the bow, the draw is very smooth. It is similar to the Spectra. If you remember the Spectra, it's not nearly the same as the Prelude. It's a lot smoother than that. The roller guard also helps to make it smooth. And when you hit the back wall, it's a firm back wall. It's a little bit more spongy than the long draw stops like on the Veracity and the Spectra, and all the target bows, and also all the all the model Darton bows. It feels slightly different, but it's almost the same feel. I must say, I like this. I don't mind it at all, the way the direction they're going. And in terms of how this bow feels when you aim it and the general balance of this bow, it's a 33-inch bow, axle to axle, but it feels very long because of the long riser. It's very stable, and I must say it aims quite well. So that's my overall feel of the bow, and I hope I covered everything. If I didn't, ask me in the comments and then I will answer you there. We've got a range set up here in the back. I'm super excited to test it out and to see how accurate this bow can be. And I've set it up more or less. Something I just want to mention, I had a black gold sight on here. Just keep in mind when you buy this bow, it's quite wide. I couldn't get, and it's a common problem with the black golds, but I couldn't get the left adjustment, the windage adjustment all the way to the left. So just keep that in mind. That's why I've got a pin sight on now. But how this is a standardized round, it's going to work like this. I'm going to shoot 6 arrows on both targets, and I'm going to start with the field target. I'm going to shoot 2 arrows on 30, 2 arrows on 40, and 2 arrows on 50. The 3D target is a standard IBO scoring, and then the field target, the X counts as a 6, and the rest of the white counts as a 5, and then 4, and then 3, like a standard field round, except the X counts as a 6. Okay, so let's get shooting. Let's see what this bow can do. All right, this is the 50-yard shot on that 3D pig. Yeah, let's see what happens. It's a bit dark now. I think it's a 10. I'll be quite happy with a 10. Okay, that was on the high side. I think I'm gonna aim slightly lower. We've moved closer to 40 yards. Should be easier. Let's see. Okay, lost 2 arrows. Gonna make it count. 30 yards. Okay, last arrow is really dark. I'm battling to see the detail on that target, and I've got no magnification. Okay, I think we're always gonna use like a pin sight to make it fair on all the bows, because it's a different ball game for me. Yeah, it's just the target looks so far. I'm so used to shooting magnification. So to make it fair on all the bows, I think for the future. Anyway, let's see what I scored here. I think they're all 10s. So it's 60 on this round. I grew way better on that field target because I could see so much more. But and also the pin with a pin sight, it's hard for me when it's so dark. It doesn't pick it up on camera, but overall not bad. I mean, for a pin sight, they're all kills. So I'm back from the range, and so I think I'm pretty happy with the results. And I don't really have a benchmark or a bow to compare it to. I'll shoot it with my Exeter soon with my target bow, and I'll see what I do there with it, how it goes. And so we have I'm sure I'll do a lot better. But then, because I've got the proper sight on there and got a magnification, more target set up, so then we can have a good benchmark to work towards. And as we do bows, we will have more bows. We will have like a data basis where we can see where the bows rank in terms of it. It's not going to be 100% fair, because sometimes the wind will blow, sometimes it will be dark like today, and but it's just an indication. It's not a set in stone test, but at least, you know, we have some fun on the range and we see what the bow can do. But I hope I covered everything today, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If I missed anything and you feel that you want to know anything, please ask in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. And we appreciate all the support and also for the voting and all the enthusiasm regarding the channel. And we'll do the consequence next, and then we'll go back to the usual schedule of tips, and there's a lot more to come. So appreciate you watching, and we'll see you until next time.